Welcome to Character Choices, this crazy weekly show, kind of weekly, once life permits, show where we get together with some family, roll some dice, make some choices, and see what happens, all in pursuit of the greatest story ever rolled. We are excited to be here. Hopefully those of you that are here had a chance to hang out with us last week. We had fun. It was a long fun. We were just talking about this. It was a little longer than even normal, which is relatively long sometimes. But I had a good time making up random snow-related Santa werebear storyline stuff, which was fun for me. So hopefully you guys had a good time too. By way of announcements, we have, I think, posted our schedule on the internet somewhere. It's a slightly altered schedule over the next little while because of the holidays and because moving schedules and things. We'll be taking at least, I think, a couple of weeks off here coming up after today. And we will find you again on the other side of December in the beginning of January. We'll see you all again. 2021. And looking to be as consistent as we can, barring holidays and whatnot, for the next year. So, be on the lookout for that. Find us on all the things, the social media things and whatnot, the Instagrams and YouTubes, and I think that's where we are. Instagrams, YouTubes, Twitch, all that stuff. And pass the word along to those you think might be interested. Is there anything else that we need to bring before the people? No? Okie dokie times. Then we will go ahead and jump into tonight's episode of Character Choices. Back into our main campaign, which it has been a minute. So let us roll back the hours, because in game, it's been a short amount of time since last we left our party. Even though in real life it's been much longer. This is kind of a weird paradox that we live in when we do this in character, out of character time. Like if we had mental instability issues, this could really wreak havoc on our lives, I think. So, but in game, let us roll back the hours just far enough to find your party standing in the crudely remodeled ruin of a small stone roundhouse. A dim light flickers in the curve of a hanging saucepan and is discovered to be a wounded female sprite named Sovum. After receiving a jolt of healing energy from Bitsy's druidic touch, she, the sprite, tests the character of our middle-aged halfling monk, Pimiver, by placing her hand on his neck, reading the beat of his heart and determining that he is honest and honorable enough, and also leaving a very small golden handprint on the skin of his neck. Sovum recounts to the crew the capture and small-scale massacre of her people, a group of sprites and pixies who have migrated to these woods by a band of Talaru, small draconic creatures with semi-canine features. And that does rhyme, and that is kind of fun. So these Talaru laid traps to catch them. She asks the party if they might help her liberate those who remain, stating that their religious leader may still be alive and may be able to discover what's wrong with her. For you see, Sovum's essence and her innate magic have been altered from their kind of argent, silvery form into something golden, something that should not be. She fears that she's somehow corrupted. This indeed seems to be true, because as you travel toward the last known location of the sprites and pixies, she begins to exhibit some kind of strange, wild behavior. The gold of her essence turning emerald green around the edges and small patches of scaly green appearing on her skin. And about this point, a new sprite appeared, silvery in essence, named Kelva. He tells you that he knows where the survivors have been taken, and as you travel the remaining distance, Sovum becomes so wild that she needs to be restrained by being placed within a haversack, a bag of some sort, carried by, I think, Pim? Was it Pim that did that? Yeah. Upon arrival, at the spot that Kelva designates, you find several of these Talaru in a roughly cleared area beneath the face of a stone cliff, one that is unnaturally straight, as if it had been maybe the site of some quarrying or shaping in the past. A dozen or more pixies are in small cages, one of them placed upon a makeshift altar in the center of the space, where the leader of the group is holding a scepter with a large tooth, apparently made from green crystal, lashed to its tip, and is chanting in preparation for a spell that you are, I think, were informed by Kelva, and those would kill the creature in the cage if it were to happen. And thusly, your party attacks. In the heat of this battle, several of you are wounded, and Akerly is downed from the back of her horse Dawn, but is revived just enough by a spell. As you defeat several of the enemies, including the chanting leader, a winged Talaru swoops down, snatching the cage upon the altar and fleeing into a cavern in the cliff face. Pim, you knocked the scepter of the chieftain to the ground in that battle where you took out the chieftain, the leader of this group, and you were blasted by energy from it. You took a decent amount of damage there at that point. And you also heard a bit of a strange voice in your head, which simply seemed to show a bit of interest in you and your friends, very simply. Didn't say a whole lot, but was like, and then kind of passed along. In the aftermath of this battle, you find Kelva reappeared and desperately checking each cage, but ultimately declaring that the religious leader of his people, perhaps the only hope to reverse what is happening to Sovum and apparently the other pixies in the cages nearby, is not there, has been taken. You all spoke a bit about that and thought maybe that it was likely that the cage that was snatched up by the winged Talaru and carried off might bear this specific pixie. And so the story goes, my friends, as we reach the present, where you are wounded, bloodied, sitting or standing tiredly in the flickering light of a few crudely made iron lanterns hanging from the trees, as well as the dying light of the bonfire that at least one of you made out of a stump in the center of the clearing during the battle. Thick, dark smoke curls upward into the night from the stump, filling the air with a sickly scent, which is layered on top of the aroma of decay coming from several marshy patches of groundwater with strange flowers growing in them, and several decaying logs, which seem to be decaying rapidly. They were very recently alive, but have decayed to a great degree. The feel and the smell of decay is thick and strong. It fills your nostrils, it burns your eyes, and it's palpable enough almost to send a kind of crawling sensation up each of your spines as you take deep breaths and take stock of the aftermath of the recent battle. What do you do?
I'd like to go retrieve the staff.
Okay. Sounds good. Easy enough. You walk over. Pim, I think, is nearby there, picking himself up off the ground, where he was knocked prone as this staff lashed out in power as it hit the ground. And you do see there, very near to the body of the chieftain, wearing a variety of kind of strange garb across its body, a robe made of very earthy colors across its body. You see the form of it, greenish scaled, draconic kind of in form, but with very canine teeth and kind of patches of fur in places running back along its kind of ridged head. It is small. You are one of the larger of the group, so in comparison to you, it's about less than half your size, maybe half or slightly less than half of your size laying on the ground. And you do see that it is bedecked with a few pieces of jewelry and a long kind of neck made of a variety of bone and other collected things. And you see, oddly enough, that its chest, the chest of the robe is deeply cut, bearing a scaly chest, and in the chest you see that teeth, not green crystal teeth, but actual kind of regular teeth, seem to have been inserted through its skin, kind of running down in a straight line, just kind of pierced and pushed through like a sewing needle almost, but left halfway in the skin. And they've been kind of lined down along its chest in the front. And this chieftain lays there, its corpse on the ground, unmoving, eyes glazed and peering upward into the kind of night sky beyond the boughs of the trees. And there, beside it, you see the staff. It's laying there. It appears to be a staff made of wood. Maybe, yeah. I mean, you're a creature of nature. It's easy enough to identify as a cedar wood staff. Yeah, kind of reddish material of the wood, and to the top of the staff is lashed what you can only describe as a tooth. A large tooth. It's maybe 7-8 inches across at the base. Looks kind of like an incisor, and it kind of scoops up and kind of curves slightly to one side, and then there's a tip at the end of it. But it is made apparently of pure green crystal of some kind, and it's been kind of lashed into kind of an elbow, a notch where kind of the branches of this cedar, a natural kind of crook. It's been lashed in kind of to the top, and there's a variety of baubles kind of hanging from it. And it sits there during the thing, the ritual that it was attempting to accomplish. I think I described it as having light flickering kind of from it, but as of now, it appears to be dull, lifeless, just green crystal on the ground.
I'm gonna pick it up.
Okay. You reach down and grab the staff. Uncertainly, as it sounds like, at least by your voice, maybe a little bit hesitantly, unsure of things, and you lift it up. Nothing happens.
As I'm looking at Tim, who's half dead after touching the staff.
Right. Nope. You touch it. Wood just feels like wood. Seems to be absolutely mundane.
That for me. You're a real pal.
It is weighty, relatively weighty, with that gem on the top. Very kind of top heavy. But anyway.
Can I also attempt to investigate the body?
Yeah, you certainly can. Go ahead and roll an investigation check.
My rolls did not go so well last session. Yes, thank you.
Are any of the rest of you going to be doing kind of like body looting activity? Those of you that are going to engage in that, Wicket was nodding her head. Akerly, you're pretty rough, for whatever it's worth, just as a reminder. I don't recall who all else besides Pim got really beat up. Most of you got skis.
That's me, Akerly. He really got hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't get...
But let's have Wicket and maybe one more of you roll investigation checks for the other bodies, just so that we can kind of...
Wicket specifically wants to go get that pickaxe, whatever, the magic one.
Okay.
Where you hit the rock and it disappears. That's
Sounds
what she
good.
wants.
So you head in that direction. There are, at this point, 4 bodies laying near the face of the cliff over there. We'll come to you in a minute. There were 1 or 2 other bodies nearby, so we'll maybe have one of you guys investigate those bodies. But let's start with you and Astriel. Go ahead and roll that investigation check for the.
I have a 15.
Okay. Yeah, with a 15, you find on its body. It's an interesting thing because the clothing is relatively simple. It's a simple kind of organic material, kind of earthy, simple dye put into it. And it's got some baubles, some kind of necklaces that are of organic kind of bone and wood and stuff. And yet you find some very fine jewelry upon this creature. You can see on one hand, on its left hand, the hand it was holding the staff with, and every single one of its fingers has a ring on it. There is one ring in particular that is a gold band and has a very deep blood red ruby set within it. And then there are 4 other simple golden bands, very, very kind of one ring style, simple gold circle, and there is actually script kind of etched into it that you do not recognize or understand, but kind of flowing around the outside that it's been kind of etched into it. And you do find a small pouch of gems of varied shape and size and type. About 100 gold pieces worth of gems in a small pouch on its body. And then the staff, and then obviously there's the kind of more simple, almost feeling more ritualistic, kind of religious feeling kind of bone necklaces, and then the things that are inserted into its body that I described a second ago. So no real weapons or anything that you can find. And yeah, so Wicket, why don't you go ahead and roll an investigation check for me as well?
That was a waste.
What's that?
I just rolled a freaking natural 20 on a stupid investigation.
Yeah, so you investigate these bodies as well. Over here, once again, relatively simple in form, less elaborately garbed, but still, for what appears to have been simple kind of workers here. You do find several small bags of gems as well, up to maybe 150 gold pieces between the group worth of gems, and you find several more rings. These are all of this simple gold variety, no gems set into them, but simple gold bands on many of their fingers. And you do also notice the same situation with teeth, regular old teeth, pierced through skin in a variety of patterns. These aren't down the chest, but several of them have them up along the inner arm, the inner forearm, just in a line of teeth kind of pushed through. And you can tell that this has been done like a long time. The skin has grown in around, and it's almost kind of shaped and become a part of it. They're healed. They're not festering. Nothing. It's part of their thing. One of them has teeth on its face in a variety of designs, kind of around and kind of down around its eyes and along kind of its muzzle, and so on and so forth. And these things are a part of it there. So when I say several, I suppose between them, each of them are wearing at least one, and maybe you find another one, so another 5 gold rings with the same kind of etched script into the outside of them that you're unfamiliar with.
Just sung 5 golden.
There you go. Merry Christmas to you all. You do find a dagger, a simple dagger on each of them. You find a few slings, very crude, kind of simple slings kind of around them. There's 4 bodies here. There were the 2 that were actually actively mining in some way. And then there were 2 that appeared from outside of the larger kind of cavern that the winged Talaru went into, that came out during the fight, that died near the entrance to that cavern.
Checking all 6 of them?
So there's only 4 here. So 2 that were mining, and 2 that came out of them, and you checked all of them. And so that's all of the kind of loot that was on them. You do find the sort of pickaxes. They couldn't really. I wouldn't really call them pickaxes so much as simple tools with wooden handles that once again seem to be made of cedar wood, and have lashed to the top of them. Not even so much lashed to the top of them, but set into the head. They're almost more mace style. There's a ridge of small fragments of deep green crystal, like the crystal in the top of the chieftain's staff. And there are bits of sharp kind of edges on them. And there are several large pieces of these all kind of clustered together in a line. And these seem to be what they were banging the rock with. They are very crude and very simple. I think partly maybe if Wicket was expecting some kind of cool device or contraption that seemed to be decaying this stone, you'd be disappointed in kind of how crudely these are put together. But you do see these, and you do notice that the crystal on these implements does have just a hint of kind of a flicker of movement on the inside of them, but it's a dark kind of wispy kind of movement that seems to be almost captured on the inside of each of these little fragments of green stone. So you find 2 of these, one for each of the 2 kobolds or the Talaru that were attacking or that were mining actively, and you can see the face of the stone for whatever it's worth. There are the beginnings of 2 caverns, small, just within reach of these Talaru, which are small creatures, so maybe 5 or 6 feet at the outside, high and kind of out and around. And it's very strange. The rock has been almost, rather than chipped or cut into, looks almost like it's been eroded by wind or water, or maybe etched with acid. Like it is created very differently than a typical kind of mining situation. There's a bit of a foul smell inside here, but other than that, it's just kind of smooth stone in the places that you can kind of see facing you at this point in time. You find just dagger and sling on the other creatures that are outside the door, and then these 2 pickaxes. So that is the bulk of what you found. I think the only real creatures left, there were maybe a couple other bodies. We'll say that you find altogether you find 1 more of the gold band rings with another blood red ruby set into it, on the finger of the Talaru, the eccentric Talaru that had all of the weird things hanging from his body, like cages of animals and pots of bugs and slime and things that was over near the place where the cages were. You find that on him. Once again, this one in particular is very crudely kind of has a variety of teeth inserted in a variety of different patterns in different places on its body. But yeah, you find another maybe 100 gold pieces worth of gems, another 3 golden rings, simple golden rings, and the 1 more golden band with the blood red ruby set into it. And that's the basics of what you find. So
Becca's gonna kind of collect all this. And she's gonna look at the axe thingy, and then look at the rocks, and then look at the axe, and then look at the rocks, and then she's gonna go up and bang the rock with the axe.
Sounds good.
And see what happens.
Okay. I'm gonna have you do a wisdom saving throw for me.
Okay. Oh. That's not good.
What do you do?
Well, I rolled a 5 plus my 2, so I get a 7.
Gotcha. So you pick this up and you heft it. It's a good heft in your hand. The wood is solid and relatively kind of heavy, hardy feeling. The shaft is maybe about 1.5 feet in length, with about 4 or 5 inches of the kind of crushed stone crystal fragments on the end of it. And as you pick it up, you kind of stop for a minute. You hear the sound almost of like this whisper of wind, kind of, and you kind of shrug it off and then into the stone. And you see the stone before you as the crystal bites into it. You can see where each of those crystal fragments touch the stone just deteriorates, just kind of, and you see a solid 6-inch stretch of rock just disappear from where you hit this after just the 1 swing. And as you pull back again, considering to swing it 1 more time, you stop as you hear this kind of, and then all of a sudden, everything you ate that day just comes straight out of you, and it splatters onto the onto the stone in front of you and the stone below you, and you drop to your knees, and just your stomach twists, and you have a sharp kind of pain running through your head as these kind of whispery sounds go around, and then it fades. The whispers fade, and the pain in your stomach fades as you kind of sit there. The smell of your sick, adding to the decayed kind of foul smell around you. After maybe 30, yeah, you have that yucky I just threw up feeling now, but other than that, not a whole lot after about 60 seconds or so.
Wicked's just gonna kind of shakily sit back and call out, don't use the pickaxe. Not good. And then I'm gonna slowly start pulling the pile of stuff towards myself again.
How about the rest of you? What are you guys up to?
Can I go investigate, or not investigate, check on the pixies? I know.
Yeah.
Can I just see if they're all alive?
You walk over. You see that Kelva is still there. There's a long, if you recall, kind of a long fragment of stone, like a column or a bit of stone that seems to have fallen from the cliff face and landed, and it's relatively flat on top. It's a solid 20 feet long and 3 or 4 feet wide. And these cages with the pixies in them had been kind of set atop that near the body of this Talaru, kind of mad scientist inventor creature that had fallen nearby. And they are set there, and you see Kelva kind of looking and reaching in. You see him finagling carefully with his small, he's got one of those small wooden kind of swords that he and Sovum carry. And you see him kind of sawing through kind of fiber or twine that's holding the tops of these bent branches. It's very simple bent branch kind of cages. And you hear it snap, kind of and the branches kind of fling outward, kind of leaving this kind of base with a small pixie in the bottom of it. You see a tiny little fragment of green crystal kind of go flying as these branches. And as you approach, you can see that several of these crystals, these green crystal fragments, have been embedded in the inside of the branches that made the cage. And there's a pixie laying there in the bottom of it, seemingly unconscious, although it is moving ever so slightly. The pixies are smaller than the sprites. They are maybe 4 to 6 inches, the ones that you can see, versus the 8 or 9 inches that the sprites are. And they are dressed much differently, and most of them have a very dim kind of golden light, although green seems to be mingling in the energy that kind of naturally pools around them. And there is kind of golden dust once again just kind of scattered across the bottom of these things that seems to be, the dust itself seems to be smoking with kind of tiny little tendrils of smoke kind of where the dust is. And as you watch, you actually see some of it kind of and flare and fade. You hear Kelva just kind of whispering to himself, oh no, oh no, oh no, as you approach.
Are there more cages that need to be opened?
There are several of them, about a dozen or so, that seem to be kind of scattered across this, each with a small, barely moving form on the inside.
Can I start opening them with my dagger?
Okay.
Trying to do what you were doing with a bigger knife.
Right. So you reach in and with the dagger begin to cut. He turns as you approach to you. Sovum once again is 8 or 9 feet high, or 8 or 9 inches high. Suddenly this 9-foot guy shows up, inches high. His hair is impossibly black, and his skin is silvery white with a silvery kind of glow around it. Short cut hair, the kind of clothing made of natural materials and natural fibers. Turns and looks at you as you approach with your dagger drawn. And he holds up a hand to you. Hold. I just want to check something quickly. And he...
Yeah, check it. Go for it. Take your time. I'm here to help. Just taking orders. Just do what you need to do, and I'll just stand here with my knife. And why am I holding? what are you doing?
I am unsure of the state of these my friends and my family. You saw what happened to Sovum, and I want to make sure that we do not unleash or lose those that are here. And he kind of bends down a little more, and he places a hand kind of on the forehead of this small pixie. Small golden hair, kind of a dress, and large wings, kind of shaped in the form of butterfly wings, but seemingly made of what looks like flower petals on this one. And there's a bit of a kind of a high-pitched moan from this pixie as the hand is placed, and there's a bit of movement on it. And you can see that Kelva is kind of just checking, putting the back of his hand on the cheeks, and kind of is scanning the body. At this point in time, you see the eyes of the pixie pop open, and this green light pours out from them, from where they are. And you see as she kind of looks up into the sky, and then her gaze falls on Kelva. Her mouth opens, and these kind of sharpened teeth that seem gold at the edges, or green at the edges, kind of are bared like fangs in his direction. And she lunges upward, kind of struggling to try and get at him, and he pushes her back down, putting two hands on the shoulders. Quick! They must be restrained.
Is this the only one open?
This is the only one open, yeah.
Okay, maybe that one handled. Can I just like smush her gently?
Did you just say smush her gently? You would like to gently smush her? Like,
Yeah,
just kind of press her down with your hand?
Yeah, kind of just like
wants to pancake her without hurting her.
like slap her like down, and then hold my hand there, but not like with little to no pain.
Okay, so you kind of
I
strategically...
Exactly.
You strategically kind of hold points on her body down with the tips of your fingers, and you feel it struggling kind of against your fingers. It's not particularly strong, but he says, hold her, be careful. And you see him kind of turn and reach into a pouch on the side of his on his waist, and he reaches in and pulls out a very small little what appears to be, for all intents and purposes, a very small thorn that has been broken off of maybe a rose or some other thorny, a briar of some kind, and popped off. And you can see he also pulls out a very, very tiny little kind of acorn topped little bowl that has canvas over the top, and he kind of pulls it off, and you can see that there is kind of a waxy material inside. He dips the tip of the thorn in, and he says, hold her, and he kind of moves up, and you can see him reach up and kind of the side of the neck of the creature.
Yeah.
And it disintegrates and dies. No, obviously not. It struggles for another moment or two, and eventually kind of the eyes kind of begin to get kind of sleepy looking, and you can see it kind of nod and jerk, and then kind of close its eyes and kind of nod off.
Yeah. Even evil things need to sleep, man.
Yes, we are best to keep them in an unconscious state for as long as we can. They have been corrupted I do not understand the nature of the corruption, but they have been corrupted, and I just do not know what to do. Our religious leader would know. The icon Olivet is her name, and she would know what to do, most likely. But she's not here. I fear for all of these and for Sovum if we are unable to find her again. And he kind of looks up long. Did you say there? Soft kitty. Kitty.
We'll figure things out. Don't worry. Well, I can't promise everything's gonna be solved, but I promise we're gonna try.
Will you help me with the rest of them? I fear to leave them in the cages. The crystals, and he points at the green kind of crystal shards.
Do I recognize the crystals or any of the symptoms?
Go ahead and roll a. Let's have you roll a. I'm gonna have you roll. This is tricky. I think I'm gonna make you roll an Arcana check.
Dang. Okay. When have you? I don't think I've ever rolled Arcana before.
There you go. It's the first time for everything. You're welcome.
8.
Okay. You are absolutely unsure. Roll me a nature check really quick.
That's better. 16.
You are unsure entirely in regards to the effects that are being placed upon these creatures or any of the power surrounding it. You can tell, based on that nature check, that the fragments very much resemble all of the nature and kind of characteristics of pure emerald.
It's like normal emerald, not like.
Yeah, like the structure of them, the kind of texture of them, the hardness of them as you kind of look at them and how they appear to you to resemble very closely just a typical kind of, but very fine emerald structure, other than the kind of dim, kind of ghastly kind of energy or light coming from them. So.
Okay. So then I recognize they're emeralds. Okay, but I don't understand magical properties. So I don't understand the symptoms that are going on in the pixies either.
You do not.
Okay. And I'm gonna. Is he still in this container cage? It's a cage. It's a cage.
The pixie?
Yeah. What's his name? Solum?
Kelva?
Kelva.
Kelva is near the cage, and he actually turns to you. Can you help me free the rest? We will try to sedate them more quickly this time. And he kind of holds his thorn and his little pot of ointment, this kind of anesthetic ointment ready.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. I don't have much experience in this, but, I'm willing.
If you can just cut them open and help me hold them if they move, although if we do it quickly enough, hopefully they will not.
Yeah. I've got a knife, so I could definitely cut things open.
Very well. And
Okay.
he follows you. It takes you about 5 minutes to kind of cut through the cords and for him to kind of each of them. And they seem to stir a little less after a moment or two, a little less kind of twitching and kind of moving than they did before. Yeah, and that's where you end.
Okay, so that's all of them. Just thinking in like chronological order. The next thing we have to do is get this religious leader, right? I didn't mean to do air quotes. Probably like a legit religious leader.
Are you mocking my religion? No.
No. No, sir, no. It's just...
What are air quotes? Anyway, just kidding.
So yeah, we're gonna. I'm just gonna walk towards the group. We're gonna find her, it, her. What pronoun does she go by? He, it, go by.
Her.
Her. Okay, everyone, we need to go find her. And I'm just gonna like walk and then turn around and realize everyone's kind of. Pim's on the ground. Akerly's like.
We'll say this
Wicked
is.
is like looking at this like mysterious liquid that's on the wall.
You do this kind of as their investigations are taking place, and you kind of all kind of converge at about the same time afterwards.
Okay. Guys, next steps here. We need to be thinking towards the future.
Question, and was I like unconscious? How
You were-
did I?
You were brought back to consciousness, but only with a couple hit points, I think.
Right. So how aware am I of everything that just happened? Like, do I know that they went into the cave?
You were awake at the time that Talaru took the cage and jetted into the cave, I think. You got knocked down after that fact, but...
Okay.
In fact, I think you saw the end of the battle, too, where they took out... You were sitting on the ground, basically going, "Good," when the kind of end of the fight happened, but...
Okay. So, the game plan here is we're gonna go into that dark cave with a plan, because, you know, you want to be prepared. In my short experience in this world out here, you want to have preparations, but we're gonna go into the cave, we're gonna find the religious leader, no air quotes, and we're gonna bring her back, and we're gonna fix all the issues.
At this point, Wicket walks over with all of her stuff. So what's going on?
I really don't think I'm like clutching my wound, part trauma, part pain, and I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. If we just march in there, we're gonna get slaughtered.
No, I just saw the one go in. It should just be the one flying guy. Everyone else came out.
For all we know, he could have a whole backup army in there.
Yeah, but I go by what I can see, and what I can see is the one flying guy in there. So,
Oh, Mrs. Mistake,
assumption.
Fate, and Destiny.
Okay, then I'm gonna look where this golden line wants me to go.
You do not see any hint of the amber line at the moment.
Can I lie?
You can do whatever you want to.
The amber line is telling us to go into the cave.
Ooh, do a deception
Don't you
check.
have-
Yeah, if you're lying, do a deception check. Anyone who wants to try and read her deception, do an insight check.
8 deception. It is
11? 11 insight.
I have a 16.
You guys, I think you need to be a little more trusting.
I think you should
Wicket does
lead us
that.
16. What did you roll as deception?
8.
Both of you get the sense that she's just kind of like, yep, golden line. I see it. Totally there.
I got a 16.
No. I'm
Yeah,
lying.
you know she's lying. So do you, Akerly.
Okay. Alright, taking a deep breath. And I say, look, if we're going in there, we're not fighting. We're gonna try to deceive them or sneak past them. So we're gonna go in with that kind of plan. No blazing fires or swinging swords and stuff like that.
Well, I'm not into that anyway, so we could definitely do it stealth-wise.
Maybe
Luckily for you, deception happens to be one of my specialties.
I'm not a good
maybe
liar.
someone should like scout it out, like go ahead, and then maybe everyone wouldn't be.
Oh! Caspian! I'm gonna like do like run around in like circles.
Yeah, you after a moment of kind of going in circles and yelling Caspian's name, you do see the marten pop its head up over a log, kind of gingerly jump up and kind of across a kind of rotting log and jump off the other side and kind of in your direction and hop up onto you. He looks no worse for wear.
Looking good, Caspian. So you know how we're really good friends, and like I trust you with my life, and like I think you trust me with yours. I'm pretty sure you do. But you know, friends give friends favors, and right now I need a favor. I need you to go into that dark cave and tell us what's in it. You're so brave. You're the bravest Caspian I know. And I wouldn't ask you to do this if I didn't think you could.
He actually puts his little paws up and he's like,
I love how you're just committing to this Disney.
Now I'm a marten dog. He kind of looks at the cave entrance and then looks back at you and then looks at the cave entrance. Turns to you and kind of and then like his hands come up and kind of jumps off and he kind of heads off in the direction of the cavern entrance. You see him stop once and look back at you and then
Just
keep going.
be safe.
And you hear one little just kidding. Just kidding. I shouldn't be doing these things, bringing these things into existence and then trying to just kidding them out of existence. I don't think that should be a thing. So I should probably stop doing
I still
that.
think it's funny that you're this committed to your marten, but you are too embarrassed to do a horse whinny.
I'm so bad at animal sounds in general. But anyway, yeah, it disappears. So are you just going to hang tight until he goes back, or you guys want to do other things, figure stuff out real quick while he's gone?
Okay, we should make a plan when he comes back and tells us if it's clear or not.
We should regroup and see where everyone's at health-wise.
Yeah. What Anasriel said.
Assess the damage.
Assess the damage. What's the damage? Akerly.
It looks like we did actually track relatively well. Akerly looks... Sorry, so what's on your sheets should be accurate if you guys can see.
Okay.
And I have a 6 out of 20 left
gosh.
on my hit point.
Yeah. If I take another hit, I'm dead, basically. Well, dead again. So.
This is why we didn't rush into the cave and follow the golden light.
Air quotes today.
Your quotes were intended that time.
I have another potion of healing.
Oh, I have potion of healings too.
Oh, wait, I do
Potion of
too.
healing.
About that. Okay. Can I take my potion of healing, David?
You can. So I'm going to mention really quickly. This is something that probably, because we haven't done a ton of D&D up to this point in time, enough to be super familiar with these things. So healing potions, they're great to use. They are, generally speaking, very expensive to purchase. So in terms of restocking on the next go-around, they're relatively expensive. You guys lucked out, and what's his name was able to help get his hands on some for you, and gave them to you, which was a small little treasure trove of potions that make you better. But they're generally going to be relatively expensive to do, and just as a thing, as a reminder, you guys can totally choose to use them for this purpose now, but I just want to make sure that we understand kind of the economy of things, that they're relatively expensive to purchase for basic ones. that long rests will get you all your hit points back. Short rests, you can take short rests and use hit dice to try and get some of your hit points back, and other ways of trying to recover outside of using healing things or using spells, healing spells, which you can recover just by resting, long rest. So that being said, it's up to you. If you're determined you need to go in now without doing any sort of resting, it's really your only option for getting hit points back.
Well, right, and I basically used I have one more spell slot left. So if we go into that cave, I can only cast one spell before I have to start using cantrips.
Yeah, but this might be
So
time.
if we were to take a rest, do we think, like, are we gonna lose this person that we're trying to track, or if we take a rest, do we have to go in right this second?
That's the question.
Question that we don't know, that are they gonna kill her right now?
But we can't go in, I guess, until Caspian comes back anyways, so
Okay, well, I'm gonna wait on using my potion thing quite yet.
Remind me
Go ahead.
how long a short rest is and how long a long rest is.
So a long rest needs to be a full 8 hours. A short rest is at least 1 hour, where you're doing nothing more strenuous than eating, drinking, reading, and tending to wounds. And then you can spend hit dice to recover hit points, which are dependent on your class and your level. So each of you have, I think, a couple of hit dice that you can use.
okay, should we just take a short rest? See how long it takes.
An hour is risky. I'd be worried if we didn't.
That is if we're trying to keep up with someone. So the question is, do we use these healing potions now, or do we just go in with the intent of not fighting if at all possible? And if we have to fight, those of us who have a higher amount of health left at the moment have to take like the lead on the fighting.
Run away!
Out of character. Bitsy, you saw Kelva use that like thorn thing that caused
The sedative?
the prey to sleep, the sedative. So you should ask if that works on bigger creatures, because I think plus he can turn invisible. So if he can sneak in and take the guy out, we can go save the shaman. If Caspian comes back and says, yeah, it's just one dude.
Now, do you say that out of character or in character?
Out of character, because I didn't see Kelva use this thing.
Yeah. But it was not my idea. Bitsy wouldn't think about it.
Well, then we're screwed, because I didn't see it. You did, dude. You wouldn't think of it.
Just say it in character, please.
Ah.
Just say that you said it in character.
We're in character.
Oh wait,
if
no, you're
all
saying you didn't
there
see
was
it.
some
That's right.
I wasn't there to see it, but
That's
I was
right.
listening. And
But maybe in character you could say something like, I wish we had a sedative or something to put some.
I don't have any like knockout spells. Does anyone have any spells?
Well, Akerly, that reminds me of something I saw just 2 minutes ago.
We're so fast. We're working on it. We're working on it.
Guys, what we need to do is just say, okay, what assets do we have? Who are our allies? What do they have?
Oh, okay.
Pile of cool stuff.
I also found a pile of cool stuff.
I have nothing.
You guys want some of this cool stuff?
Yes, we can share.
Okay. While they're going through the cool stuff, I'm gonna run back to Calva. Hey, you.
He kind of turns. He has been kind of looking at and tending to a body. He turns from one of them and looks up at you. Yes?
So, question. So, you know how I helped you like 10 minutes ago, putting everyone to sleep? And you used the little liquid powder, not liquid powder, like liquid.
Liquid powder is an oxymoron.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same exact thing. And so we'll just stick with the liquid. I like the first one better. I was wondering if that could work on larger beings.
Oh, this, and he holds up the little kind of acorn hat pot that he's got. This is not as strong, not strong enough for larger creatures. If I used that on the smaller creatures, then it would perhaps kill them. We use other poisons for larger creatures.
Do you happen to have any of those on you? Or nearby, perhaps?
I do have a small amount of poison that might work on a larger creature. It depends on their constitution and how clean the strike is. We use it to dip our arrows in, and there is a possibility that they might be poisoned, at least for a while, and if their constitution is less hardy, perhaps they might fall unconscious. It just depends.
We'll take whatever we can get. By chance, because we have this poison, so we can go rescue your religious leader.
I see. Hold on. And he kind of roots around. Do any of you by chance carry arrows, bows or crossbows to shoot arrows with?
Sure do.
Are you there? Awesome.
Oh, I guess. I don't know. I do.
Sure. Just for kicks, he looks up at you, assuming that you're nearby, and he holds a hand out. May I see one of the bolts for your bow? Is it a bow or a crossbow?
It's a crossbow.
May I see one of the bolts? And he holds up his little hand, and if you place a bolt in it, it's large compared to his little hand. He kind of holds on to it and kind of sets it down. He roots around for a minute. He pulls out another small container and pulls the kind of canvas linen. He's got kind of a fiber wrapped around a canvas and kind of pulls it off. And he takes the arrow and kind of sets the bolt on the ground and kind of puts the arrow in and kind of like does this with it. Kind of dips the tip of the arrow in there and gets it kind of in there real good and kind of pulls it out, hands it back to you. And you can see the tip is gleaming with a kind of oily substance. Take care not to wipe this off. But I may have enough for one more. Would you like me to use it on one more? And he holds his hand up.
There you go.
Wait, can you be trusted with this very dangerous piece of weaponry?
Me? Kelvin turns to you at the same time that Wicket does.
Poison around for who knows how long.
Kelvin thought you were talking to him. Me?
No, not you.
Oh,
Wicket.
good.
I handle a lot of very sensitive material all of the time, so I'm pretty sure I can handle like this. What is it again? Poison?
That is a very potent poison made from blameberry. Be careful with it.
Will do.
Okay, I trust
I'm a
Wicket.
great shot, guys.
I believe her.
Thank you.
It really eyes all the scars on Wicket's face.
I do have lots of scars on my face. This is true.
Okay.
I'm good around pointy things.
Sweet. I believe you. And I'm not going to even look at the scars. I'm just going to take your word for it. Sweet. Thank you, Kelva, so much. We're going to try and get your friend back. I promise. We're going to try really hard. Or die trying. Actually, that was a little bit extreme. I have a
That's
couple
very extreme. We're not really
that
going
might
to
be opposed
die.
to that, so I can't promise that. I retract that statement.
I mean, we can't help it if we die, but we're not going to
We're not gonna like
dying.
try. We're gonna try to save. We're gonna try to save lives, not end them.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Wicked.
Preferably not die in the process.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
we're just going to try and save the lives, period. And let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, we're saving lives.
Very well. Be careful with it. I am going to remain here with these pixies just in case somebody needs to watch them, unless one of you prefers to stay.
Does someone want to stay?
I will remind you of the age-old adage about the danger of splitting the party.
I don't think that's smart.
Yeah, I think we're all good, but thanks for the offer.
Very well.
I don't think we should give Akerly the option.
Oh no, Akerly.
I'm gonna clear my throat.
Oh, whoa. Do you have a cough?
Has a plan.
Ooh. Damn, let's hear it.
So I was just thinking that I have pretty good stealth, being a hobbit and all. Or halfling, whatever you want to call it.
This isn't loader.
How's none of us question that you called yourself a hobbit?
She pointed it out, though.
I literally just read the hobbit the other day, so it was like fresh in my brain.
Copyright problems there.
We met halfling. Halfling.
Halfling. Anyways, the point is that I have good stealth, and I also happen to have a pair of shoes currently in my possession that add to the stealthiness. So what I'm thinking is if we're trying to go in and cause the least amount of commotion possible, that I could lead Wicket in. She can put on the shoes so it ups her stealth a bit, or at least her quietness, and I can try and guide her in so that we can get in there hopefully without making a lot of noise. And then she can take a shot because she's a better shot than I am.
That's true.
2-person mission. Everyone else stays here.
And I already have pretty good stuff.
And then you come inside.
So,
we need to
very
signal.
quickly,
How good is your stealth, Wicket?
I have a +3.
Nice.
What's your stuff?
I have a +7.
You just say that so nonchalantly.
I just have a +7. No big deal.
That's why I'm saying I can lend you my shoes, and then our stealth will be more similar. And
Well,
hopefully
are your
that will help us
shoes
both.
And then I go in and shoot anyone.
And then you go in and shoot whatever is in there with the bow.
Which hopefully is not more than 2 people, since we have 2 bows. Or
Hopefully. At least we can go in and take a look. And if there are more people than 2, then we can always try and get back out and regroup. But
You could just stealthily grab the cage if you could. If
True.
not, come back out and get everyone else.
Yeah.
so
Caspian back yet?
we could wait for Caspian to see how many people are actually in there.
Yeah.
and then we 2 go in.
Unless
And
they got Did
If
they
he doesn't return in the next little while, then we just have to go.
give him some time? He's got little legs.
Well, we can't wait an hour for him to come back.
so you guys wait for a little bit?
We'll give him like 10 more minutes.
Caspian? Okay.
Okay. Okay, so you guys wait for a bit, maybe doing a little bit of patching up of scrapes and abrasions and so on as you wait. Yeah, about 10 minutes go by. No sign of Caspian.
Oh no.
Oh no, did he get captured?
Guys, let's not think about the worst here. It's fine. He just like got tired and took a nap along the way.
What happened?
Okay, let's go find Let's go find the religious leader.
So, because I am at a lower hit point at the moment, should I take something before I go in case it turns into a fight, or are we just gonna trust that we're not gonna be in a fight?
No, I would take it.
2 extra healing potions, so I think it'd be okay if you took the healing potion
We
and
save
then
everyone.
save, because then
We'll try and keep Agerly out of it if we can, and then we can do a
Because we
rest
each
after
had one
this.
and then we had one extra.
Right.
So
Okay.
Okay.
So
I would
then
take it. 'cause
I'm
you're at
gonna
6.
take mine. Does that put me back up to full health, Dave? What does that?
It does not. So healing potion, you're gonna roll 2d4 plus 2.
2d4 plus 2. 5 on the first one.
Okay, and that's with the plus 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wait. What did you roll on the first one? On the actual 3 on the dice. So it's a plus 2 to the whole thing. So you already added the plus 2. So now just add whatever's on that second dice. So 5 plus whatever's on the dice the second time.
Oh, okay. So then 7 altogether.
Okay, yeah. So it's 2d4 and then 2 on top of that. So.
Okay.
So yeah, so you get 7 hit points back.
Okay, I put that better.
Yeah, which helps.
I just used my potion of healing too. But
Okay.
I have 4 potion of healing. I don't know how I got 4.
Are you holding the extra
Right.
2?
No, I thought Pim was holding the extra one.
I don't remember what I'm holding. to
You
be
might
honest.
have picked one up in your 0 session somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did because I had 2.
Okay,
For
so you
some-
guys are doing okay on healing then for a minute. So
Now I have 1. But
okay, did you roll 2d4 plus 2, Akerly?
Yeah, I got 6. So I just had
Okay. Okay. How do you guys do
so
this?
David,
Yeah.
if I give Wicket my elven shoes, does that give her an advantage? On
Yeah, I
something?
was actually just looking at it. I don't see anywhere in the description that you have to attune to them. So she should just be able to put them on and get advantage on stealth rolls.
Okay, sweet. Then I'll hand those to her so she can wear those while we go in.
Okay. So she takes these boots off. They're like moccasins, but made of kind of leafy green organic material, all kind of sewn together, and they fit very comfortably on your feet. You feel confident. You feel like so confident walking in these boots. You're like,
The,
Trying
snick,
not to
the
let them
signal if
see
you guys need help is to scream.
Okay.
Okay.
okay. So
Gonna load the poison bolts into her crossbow really fast and then hug it tight to her chest. Okay, let's go.
Got this.
All right.
okay. So do you guys all head over to the opening of this cavern, or is she
Yeah.
just taking off alone?
Are just me and Wicket going first?
Yeah, we'll wait at the mouth of the cavern, but we won't go in.
We're trying to do this stealthily.
So then I'm gonna go in. I'm assuming I'll go in ahead of Wicket.
Okay. So the rest of you, do you stay over more in the middle of the clearing, or do you all go up to the door together, or just Wicked and Pim?
I'm gonna get as close as possible should they need help.
Okay. So we'll say that at least some of you congregate kind of near the entrance to this. It is off kind of behind a tree on the left-hand side of this kind of cliff face. Yeah, as you approach, you can see the mouth of this cavern waiting for you. It's about 15 feet roughly wide, larger than the ones that you were looking at before Wicket. And it rises up about 20 feet high into the air, but it is a bit irregular on the edges of it, very kind of cracked and caverny and rocky in a way. And there are stones scattered on the ground all around and kind of piled up against the kind of opening to this. And you see darkness beyond. You stand there, you can feel cool air kind of wafting ever so gently out as you step up close to it to peer in. Oddly, the air smells a bit better coming out of this than just the air in general in the place that you are. It's almost a bit refreshing, a break from the decay. But you stand there with Pim by your side, clutching your weapons and kind of trying to prepare yourself to move in. And I'm going to go ahead and have us take a break right there real quick. We'll take just a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll see what waits for us on the other side of this. I suppose just as a courtesy, we've talked as a group. We're going to try and make these a little bit shorter than we normally have for everyone involved. I think it'll be kind of nice to have these a bit more bite-sized. So we'll take a break now, and we'll come back for about another hour afterwards, and we'll see what awaits us. So, awesome. Yeah, as we stand here, this is me kind of rambling while I find the thing I need to click on real quick.
I see a little new sweater.
The hole that that Caspian disappeared into, waiting for you, and we'll see y'all in just a few minutes. And we're back. Awesome. Back to that pivotal moment where our characters were standing in front of the opening to this cavern. As you peer into it, getting the courage up to take a step in, you actually hear a bit of a flitter of wings and turn around, and you see Kelva dart towards you across the distance from where he was. Wait! I almost forgot. And he kind of pulls up next to the two of you that are near the entrance. He's breathing just a little bit heavily as he kind of his little kind of thorn-shaped wings fluttering behind him. Be careful in there. I was so distracted. This is a holy place. We call it the Astral Halls. Only generally the pixies go in, led by Icon Olivet. I've never been in, so I cannot tell you what to expect, only that you should tread carefully, he says, as you enter in. And he says, he reaches into a pouch at the side of his waist again, and he pulls a hand out that's kind of dribbling with golden dust from the pixies, and you can see as he kind of like over each of the two of you that are about ready to go in, and kind of sprinkles down upon you. I don't know if this would be a help at all. It's a bit of a long shot, quite possibly, but perhaps a bit of the pixie essence going in with you will help in some way, he says. Good luck. And he turns and flutters off back in the other direction, leaving you standing there once again in front of this place. And just to move things along, we'll say that you enter. The two of you stepping carefully in through the opening, which is, again, kind of an irregularly shaped, about 10 to 15 feet wide by 20-ish feet tall, kind of irregular, kind of cracked opening in this space here. Wicket, you have dark vision, so you see pretty clearly as you enter into this space. It is dark. It is pitch black on the other side of this. To your face, Pimiver, who has regular kind of mundane vision, it is pretty dark. You only see what can be seen by the flickering of the dim light coming in through the opening for just maybe 5 or 10 feet in front of you. You see a flat floor scattered with stones. Wicket, as you enter in, you find that you are in what appears to be a tunnel or hallway, maybe, of some kind. That extends forward away from you into the distance, at least the 60 feet that you can see in the dark, and then continues onward, and looks relatively regular, kind of a flattened floor and kind of straight walls that kind of go up to a kind of crudely carved kind of stone ceiling where it's been kind of hacked and carved away. You can see supports have been built in here out of thick timber, thick wooden timbers, have been built in kind of every so often as you look through here. And from where you are, right here at the opening, you can see that the opening used to be a bit more regular than it was. It looks as if slabs of stone have crumbled and fallen off the face and fallen down in front of the opening, and that the opening has been cleared out to a degree. But before that had happened, it was just a regular old rectangle, kind of the shape and size of this hall, 15 to 20 feet wide by about 20 feet high. And you can see in the near distance, within the 60 feet of you, you see the kind of forms of wooden carts and some piles of old rope that are kind of strewn about here. And you can actually see a tool or two just kind of leaning up against the side of the wall. And you are very familiar with kind of the size and scope and shape of this, and realize that you are actually in the entrance to a mine of some kind. And that kind of goes off into the distance a ways before running out of your range of your dark vision. So it is dark. It is cooler in here. It's a bit damp feeling, and you can see water rolling down the walls in a few places. Not too much, but in a few places, the steady, constant kind of trickling and dropletting of water kind of around you every so often in the distance, and a bit of water here and there pooled on the floor as you enter into this place. So Pim, you're not going to be able to see well unless you were to produce some form of light, one of you.
I do have a torch, but I just don't know if that's gonna like give us away if I light said torch.
If I take the lead, could you just like follow me? I don't know what the point of that would be though, because if you can't see.
I want to say that if you'd be in essence blinded, and I want to say, I'd have to look it up real quick, that blind might give you disadvantage on like some stealth rolls and things like that.
Basically, we either go forward with me leading and hope we run into other things that have light, or we produce our own light, or you have to turn back.
Well, I'm not gonna leave you in here on your own.
You can always turn back and get one of us who has dark vision.
Do we think it's not smart to turn on a light?
I think it's still smart for both of you to go in. I think if anything, you roll at disadvantage and you take the lower roll, but you still have a +7. So I feel like it's still the smartest to have both of you go.
I think we could try.
Then I'll just
a little bit, and then if it looks like
if it goes terribly wrong,
we'll grab a torch out.
Sounds good.
Or I'll light something else on fire.
I'm gonna follow Wicket then.
Follow how? Just the sound of her steps, or?
You're gonna hold her hand?
Or like right behind me, just kind of, I don't know, like put your hand on my shoulder or like on my back or something. And just walk.
Yeah, because I can either do that or I can literally just tie myself to your arm or something, because I do have rope in my bag.
Okay, it's up to you.
That's what Wicked does in response. You choose.
I'm just gonna hold on to you, and I'll just follow you in case, so we're not stuck together in case we end up needing to fight or something.
Okay, so you kind of plop a hand on her shoulder as she leads the way into the place. And you begin your trek into the tunnel / hallway, continuing forward. Go ahead and make a round of stealth checks for me. As far as I can tell, you are disadvantaged on any ability checks that involve light. I'm going to assume a stealth check might involve light because you're having to pick your way. So disadvantage to you, Pim. Advantage to you, Wicked.
I didn't hear.
He was just saying you have disadvantage.
Yeah, disadvantage. So roll 2 d20s, take the worst of the rolls, versus Wicked, who gets to roll twice and take the best.
And I have a 14.
Okay.
I have a 17.
Okay, not too bad. You guys kind of pick your way. Wicket, you're choosing a path around any big obstacles that you can see, or kind of large fields of gravel or stone. And you do see that there are many places where rocks have fallen or been piled around. And you do see more kind of remnants of mining activities, and nothing super expensive or complex or complicated is here, but the occasional kind of pickaxe leaning up against a wall, or a kind of broken down wooden cart, and so on and so forth as you kind of continue down through your way. You see the occasional pile of lumber where 2 or 3 piles of kind of sawn, squared off posts have been left here. And go ahead and roll for me. Just roll a perception check for me, Wicket, real quick.
12.
You, as you kind of are looking around the place, scanning the walls and the floor and the forward thing, you know what? I'm going to give you advantage on this. I should have, just because this is such a familiar landscape for you. To see if you roll any better the second time.
15.
As you looking, you could start to kind of get a feel, a sense for the layers of dust and stuff that have been laying over this, the evidence of time having passed. And you get the sense that it has been a very, very, very long time since any actual mining activity had taken place down here. Very long time. You actually notice as you kind of observe the tools that you pass and things that the style of them, the way that they're built, the techniques that went into forging the heads of these pickaxes and shaping the hafts of these pickaxes, and these kind of wooden carts is a very old style way of doing things. It's been outdated for a very long time, like 100+ years probably. And you get the sense that this is that nobody's been here for quite a while. You continue to move forward. You travel quite a ways. 5 minutes pass and then 10 minutes pass as you're making your way through here. It's pretty much just a straight shot. You pass, after about 10 minutes or so, you pass one shaft that seems to take off to your right, or what would have been a shaft, but seems to have been closed off. It's filled with rubble and large kind of boulders and stones, and even kind of boarded over to a degree. And you pass another one of these on your left a few minutes later, until 15-20 minutes have passed of kind of moving into this place. I'm going to have you go ahead and roll another stealth check for me after 20 minutes here, both of you.
With advantage again?
Yeah, and disadvantage for Pim.
18.
I have an 18 as well.
Wow, good job. Making up for the disadvantage. You continue to move stealthily forward. The sounds begin to change around you. You begin to hear, the echo of your footsteps you occasionally hear. It's a minimum because you're doing a decent job of masking and muffling those steps. But the sounds of water seem to increase as you continue in this direction. You hear the trickling kind of begin to be a little bit more steady. You begin to hear the sounds of droplets of water hitting the surface of puddles or pools begin to kind of happen with more frequency as you approach, until there's a relatively steady sound of kind of trickling water, and you reach a point where you can see within the 60 feet range of your dark vision that the tunnel comes to an end. Massive pile of stone kind of having fallen and slanting in your direction where it has fallen and kind of rolled outwards. The entire tunnel seems to have collapsed completely in front of you. And you notice this, and oddly enough, Pim, you also begin to see that the outline of this to a degree, and the reason is because a light has appeared, coming from the left-hand side of the cavern, filtering out of what appears to be another opening that is there off to the left. The light is kind of a silvery white, a bluish white light that is seeming to kind of softly kind of emanate into the main chamber and light up a bit of the area surrounding you with dim kind of silvery light. And as you approach just a bit, you can see a crack has appeared that has been kind of crudely excavated. You can see, actually, go ahead and do another perception check for me, Wicket.
With or without?
With advantage.
Without advantage.
With advantage.
Natural 20.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can tell that this has been opened up. This is not a mine shaft or a tunnel off of the main mine shaft. It has been opened, and you see as you near it the same tone and texture to the stone as where you attempted to use the Talaru's pickaxe. It has been kind of etched and kind of eroded and decayed kind of out of the way to create an irregular opening where this silvery light is emanating from. It's hard to see beyond at all. You see that it goes into kind of an opening, almost a small little kind of tunnel-y section that kind of disappears a little ways from view at the angle that you're looking at with that light coming out from it. You'd have to get closer to get a better sense of what's happening here.
I tell him this. Remember earlier when I threw my guts out? It kind of looks like the same rock that was over there. But I'm gonna go ahead and keep going.
Okay.
Okay. I keep going.
Keep going.
Okay. So you approach the opening, and it is it's about 5 or 6 feet wide, and it goes up to maybe 9 or 10 feet, and is plenty big enough for you to kind of get into. You're not having to kind of finagle your way in, and it's been opened up relatively well. It's just very irregularly shaped and kind of carved through this place. You enter into this place, and you can see that it continues forward for a little ways. It's not too long, maybe 15, 20 feet of tunnel in front of you, before you can see through the opening on the other end that it opens up into a bigger space. And the sound of water is emanating, coming from this, whatever this space is in front of you. With your dark vision, you can see past the end of it and kind of sort of into a room. It's a bit hard to see from here, but this silvery light kind of is in there. You see a smooth floor beyond with maybe some sort of inlay or decoration on it. And you do see 2 forms in your line of sight nearby as you begin to kind of approach the end of this tunneled space. When you get within maybe 4 or 5 feet of it, you all of a sudden hear a sound, a bit of a scrabbling on the stone, and then you hear a and Caspian jumps out at you from the side of the cavern that you're on, a few feet in front of you. Jumps down at you, kind of pounds his tiny little fists on your chest to get you to look at him, and he's like, and he kind of like makes this kind of gesture with his paws and kind of gets your attention. Pim, you can see now there's enough light for you to at least dimly see what's happening.
Okay. Wicket stifles a gasp.
And he's kind of chittering at you, and he kind of pointing into the room and just making lots of kind of little motions and movements that resemble destruction.
You know, Caspian seems pretty freaked out right now. Seems like danger is ahead. Maybe we should turn back.
Okay, do we want to turn back and get the rest of the group? Or
I think,
do we want to go ahead with the plan? What do you think?
well, on the other side, I think I would have gone in by now if you guys have been gone for 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I guess I'll cut back to you guys. It's been 20 plus minutes, maybe closer to 30 minutes at this point.
Yeah.
What do y'all think?
I'm going to be pacing back and forth in front of the opening.
Caspian's been gone for a very long time.
Or Wicket, do we want to send Caspian back to get the others? And just try and like hole out here and be as quiet as we can?
We could try and like look in and see what's happening and just not go in, but like peek in.
Right.
See if we can see anyone and see how many there are. And then maybe proceed with the plan.
So can we send Caspian back to the group, and then me and Wicket will just like as stealthily as possible kind of investigate what's going on so we can get a better idea of what we're facing?
Whichever one of you would like to try to do an animal handling check for me. You aren't graced with the racial ability of speak with small animals, so you would have to try and do a quick animal handling check to get the point across.
I have a...
But does she get to roll with advantage since it's like a natural talent that she has as a person?
Who does?
It's okay. I have a 19 anyways.
You mean out of character? Okay, so it takes you a moment to kind of get to Caspian to calm down a bit, and you kind of point back out and you make shapes that resemble gnome people or something. Try and get the sense across that they're waiting for you. Go get them, bring them back here, you know. And he kind of awkwardly looks at you for just a little while until you see his eyes go, huh, and he jumps down and he takes off out of the thing. You all step up to kind of the end of the tunnel, and I suppose I will have you do another You're going to look in, kind of just to try and get a sense of things. I'm going to have you do another perception check for me. Wicket, you would do normal perception check. It's dim enough light, Pim, that you probably would have to do it at advantage if you want to also join in, or disadvantage, I mean, if you wanted to join in, just because it's dim light beyond here.
$14.
That was okay. And then Pim?
Yes, I rolled so well, guys.
I have a 21.
Oh, you did roll well. That's with disadvantage?
I rolled an 18 and then the 19.
Way to go. So, easily enough, you both, what you will both notice with those rolls as you look in is that you can see there's a relatively large chamber beyond the opening of this kind of crack that you find yourself standing in. You can see that there are many kind of little puddles of water along the floor that seem to kind of shimmer along the surface in this silvery kind of light that seems to kind of suffuse the place. This is probably helping helping you to perceive things in this room because of light casting and reflecting, and it's a bit psychedelic at times because of the flicker of this kind of reflection of water, of light off of water that casts onto the walls and onto the ceiling. And it's a large circular room with a rough kind of cavern ceiling above it. And you notice basically three things right off the bat. First, both of you will immediately notice the form of the winged Talaru crumpled on the floor just beyond the end of this tunnel, about 6 or 7 feet in. It is crumpled, its kind of leathery wings folded up around it, and as you peer, both of you, you in particular, Pim, with your 21, see what appear to be char marks, blackened kind of char marks along its wings and along its body, places where it seems to have been burned very badly as it lays there, very badly on the floor. There are parts of it that are just charcoal at this point. Second thing you notice is the cage that it was carrying, which seems to be another 6 or 7 feet farther into the chamber, laying on the floor. And you can see a still form inside of it, from a distance glowing very faintly, kind of golden kind of color, just tipped over sideways on the floor beyond the corpse of the Talaru. And then beyond that, you, Pim, in particular, you can see this as well, Wicket. There's appears to be a large statue at the center of this room, resting on a pedestal of stone, and the statue seems to be a female, a feminine form, with long hair and a simple kind of simple dress kind of draping her body. And she holds her hands out, and in her hand, the palm of her hand, is a cup, a chalice that sits there and rises up and comes out. And you can see that a steady stream, kind of a trickling, dripping water is pouring kind of from somewhere above in the ceiling into the chalice. And you can hear the sounds of this into this. You would expect with that amount, that kind of volume of water flowing into the chalice from above, to see it overflowing all over the place, but it does not seem to be overflowing at all. It just seems to be taking all of this water into itself. The source of the light, the silvery kind of light, seems to be coming from this statue, which is glowing with this this silvery light. With the 21 beyond that Pim, you can see vaguely the distant walls of this room. This room is probably maybe 30 to 40 feet all the way across to the other side. So the statue's about 20 feet in, and then 20 more feet to the back wall. And you can see at places along the walls stuff that is painted or applied on the walls, forms. It's vague, hard to see from this position. But you see kind of the glittering points kind of at locations along the wall that seem to glitter with a bit of light as well, but it's really hard to tell what is actually on those walls in the distance. That's what you see. I will say that as you come towards the edge of the where the room starts to get a closer look, both of you suddenly begin to feel a bit feverish. You can feel a bit of a heat. It seems to be emanating as you kind of approach it. It's like sitting too close to a fire, and the heat is kind of hitting your forehead, your skin, the tip of your nose, and warming it uncomfortably the closer that you approach. We'll go back. What are the rest of you doing? Are you just going to hang tight, or? How long do you wait?
How long has it been?
Over 30 minutes.
It's been over 30 minutes. Top speed, even if the Martin comes full speed faster than you guys went in, it'll still take 15 minutes or so to get back out. So it would be about 45 minutes before Caspian would reach you. Are you going to wait that long?
No.
And Astral has probably been pacing back and forth in front of the cave for a while, and has noted the time at this point. Being experienced in battle, she's gonna make the decision to go in. So she turns to the group. I'm not waiting anymore.
Okay, let's go.
That was easy.
Caspian's been gone way too long.
I'm gonna kind of stop Bitsy from running past me like I assume you would be doing.
Oh, yeah.
And turn to Akerly. Are you okay?
Yes. I'm good. Let's go.
Okay, let's go. I'm like trying to get your arm off me.
Okay, then I'm gonna lead the way into the cave.
Okay.
That's the part.
You leave Dom. Do you leave Dom behind?
That's what I'm questioning. I could go faster. I just ride, but
True, and Don has better stealth rolls than you do.
It's true.
If you go fast though on the horse, you're gonna get disadvantage on stealth rolls anyways, because you're trying to go quickly. It would go more poorly for you. So.
You don't have dark vision. Do you have dark vision, Bitsy?
Yeah.
and I used my my light bracelet earlier.
I forget that we have those things.
Well, I ask because if we're gonna try and be stealthy, we don't have light. But if we're not being stealthy, then we just turn on
I'm
the
just
light.
nervous. I'm nervous, Akerly. I'm nervous because it's been so long.
Okay. So Anastriel decides to throw caution to the wind because it's been so long and assume that people are in trouble.
Okay.
So we're going to use a light so that Akerly can see. So do you want to use your... Wait, you've already used your bracelet today.
Yeah, I have. And I only have one spell slot left, so I'm just nervous to use it for light if I can save it like magic missile.
Yep.
Probably save it just in case we need. I'm assuming we're gonna have to fight something.
I was about to say, I got you. I have light as a cantrip, but that wasn't our one shot. So, I was like, oh, I have this thing.
But
don't have
we
that.
all have a bracelet?
I have produce flame. I can get some light.
Is that a cantrip?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much light does it produce?
It produces an.
I have a candle.
So she has a cantrip, produce flame, sheds bright light in a 10-foot radius, and dim light for
Do
another 10
none of you
feet.
guys
So
have
that
a
gives about
torch in your equipment?
I have a candle.
a torch.
Apparently,
Just
I'm the only person who has a torch.
I mean, I have
You-
a torch, which is why I'm
you should
asking.
you should all
I have a
have most of
candle.
you should have a torch if you have like an explorer's backpack. So
I can just use the cantrip, and I can
I
just.
don't have.
And if it's danger, can I hold an action to shoot evil things? Because it could also be a spell that I can
You can
just.
only hold an action in
Shoot.
combat.
I can throw it at someone evil.
yeah, I mean if something comes up, you could sling the spell and it would go out. And it lasts for 10 minutes, so just have to re-up it every 10 minutes as you guys go through.
Okay, so you're gonna use that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
let's go.
and the point of riding Dawn would be to go faster, and I don't know if I could carry all three of us on.
Nope. I think you should leave Dawn.
Okay. Let's do that.
Leave Dawn, but use light.
Okay. Okay, so you
I'm gonna
let
draw
Dawn know
mine.
that you're staying behind. She reluctantly agrees. And
Since I'm in front, I'm
Mhm.
going to draw my rapier just to be safe
okay.
and lead the way.
And then are you guys going to attempt to go stealthily or just kind of try to cruise as quick as you can?
Quick.
Is there a way we can try and be stealthy but fast?
No, you'll get disadvantage on stealth rolls if you speed up a little bit, but you'll go faster. So you can choose to go faster if you want to. I can still have you roll stealth rolls. You'll just roll them at disadvantage, but cut your time down.
Do that then.
Yeah, we want to go fast, so.
Okay. How long did you wait before you went in? And about
30
what?
minutes. 35 minutes tops.
Okay. Okay, so you guys head in. Go ahead and roll stealth rolls with disadvantage if that's what you'd like to do.
We should have brought Dawn.
Oh! No, that's bad. I'm rolling on disadvantage, Rachel.
Oh, why do you have disadvantage? Oh, because you're going fast.
They're going fast.
That's a
Oh,
waste of a natural 20.
oh, that hurts so much. It's fine.
Natural 20 again. You could do it. I believe in you.
What'd you get, Akerly?
11.
Bitsy?
It's only a slight decline.
A what?
What'd you get, Bitsy?
13.
Oh my god.
And Anasliel.
She went from a natural 20 to a 2.
I
There
have
you
a
go. 7.
7.
It's how the universe restores
So-
balance.
So yeah, you guys don't move stealthily, but you do move a little quickly. We'll say 30-35 minutes. About, let's say 5, 6, 7 minutes in, you suddenly see a little form scampering towards you, Bitsy, as Caspian appears and looks at you, eyes wide, and he scampers up to you and begins making a lot of the similar gestures. You don't necessarily understand what he says, but he makes a lot of like, and he kind of indicates that he's seen your friends, but he is also making a lot of deathy kind of motions as well.
I'm so glad you're okay. Wait, are they dead?
What's he saying? Bitsy, what's he saying?
They're dead?
They're dead?
They're not dead?
And he kind of makes a wingy gesture.
They're
Ah.
Flying thing is dead. Flying thing is dead. We're okay.
Oh, good.
Wait, what killed the flying thing?
Good question.
And he just looks confused.
Sweet. Something killed a wild thing. But the flying thing is dead. Our friends are okay. And you know where they are?
And he jumps down, heads off in the direction.
Follow him.
Are we gonna flat out run now?
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll say with that you can cut the time down to just another 7 or 8 minutes of kind of running and dodging around things as you go. So you all, do you hang tight after you kind of look in view, waiting for them to come?
Yeah, I'm assuming
So we don't actually see anything. We see 2 like dead things and a statue.
Yeah, you see a statue in a big room with some creepy light, some vanishing water, and yeah. So you see that
And
stuff.
we feel hot.
Takes you a few minutes. We'll say about this time you begin to hear footsteps of running feet coming from up behind you as you guys finish kind of your initial perusal of the space before you. So
we turn around with our weapons. I raise mine.
You see an Azrael's face pop into view around the edge of this thing as Caspian, kind of leading in front of her, kind of scampers in front of her into the space.
I'm gonna explain to them what we have just seen, like what we know of the area that we are in.
And it feels really hot.
It's warm, but I've just been running for like 45 minutes.
No, but if you try and go closer there, it gets really hot.
Is it? I'm gonna step closer.
I'm gonna pull her back.
You step
Really
closer.
hot.
You do feel the heat. It doesn't feel like much more than like a cheerily roaring fire in a fireplace all the way towards the end of the thing. But
Can I do an Arcana check?
what's that?
Can I do an Arcana check?
What are you seeking to understand specifically?
On the magical properties of this. It's like a gate thing, right?
As far as you can tell, it's just a natural kind of opening where the tunnel ends and enters into this space. It's been kind of carved open. You don't see any visual indication of there being any sort of barrier or portal of any kind. Just the light being cast, kind of shed off of the statue at the center with a few pinpricks of light beyond it, and the water kind of cascading into the chalice, and the body on the ground in front of you that's been charred.
Can I do then could you tell me if I should do a history or a religion check for this statue? Or do I have to choose
just to see if you know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be a religion check.
Okay.
Holy land.
25?
What's that? 25?
Yeah, you know.
Holy Hannah. That
Dang,
is
girl.
cray. So
So
you rolled a natural 19? Dang.
She's a missionary.
Okay, so you get vibes. This is related to, you believe, a very old sort of out-of-date religion that you heard whisperings of where you were, that is connected to the stars. The calendar, for whatever it's worth, that is used across the entirety of Andromar, or Mindalinar, the entirety of the world, even on the outside, is an astrological calendar. There's 9 months in it, and each month is the amount of time roughly that certain constellations are kind of dominant in the sky. And you, in your reading and your studying, know that this calendar was derived out of some ancient religion that was based around gods or spirits or something that were connected to these astrological kind of signs and constellations looking upward. And in particular, there is one of the months that is related to the constellation known as the Cupbearer. And you see that this female is wielding this kind of chalice, and you think maybe that there's kind of some sort of a connection there. But beyond that, you don't know the details. It is so old and so far distant and so out of date and disconnected here in the heart of Andromar that even with the 25, you wouldn't know specifics about this at all.
Did you guys see the pixie, the religious leader at all?
If you're standing there, you see the cage. Sorry, Pam, you were about.
No,
to
you're
explain.
good. I was just gonna say there's a cage over there that we saw. Looks like there's a bit of a light flickering in it. I think that
Wait, is she in there?
it's still alive. Mm-hmm.
Fair.
And there's like no enemies. We see no like known enemies.
Just the one.
It's really hot.
And Nastriel,
Yep.
while they're talking, is this the opening near that giant pile of rubble that you said Wicket saw earlier?
You mean the end? Oh, the big pile of rubble is inside the main tunnel. So there's kind of the main tunnel ends in a big pile of rubble, but then off of that main tunnel near the pile of rubble is this kind of crack that leads 15, 20 feet in towards this room that's off to the side.
Are there any loose rocks that I can pick up?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can I
Okay.
fit?
I'm gonna pick one up in each hand
Okay.
and walk up while they're talking and chuck one straight into the opening.
Sounds good. So you guys all watch as a stone kind of went whistling past you and into this space and hits the ground. Nothing happens.
I'm gonna check. You said there's the chalice with water coming into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to hit the chalice. I'm trying to just have the rock go through the water.
Okay.
So I'm gonna throw it that way.
Okay. Let's have you do a check for this because it's about 20 feet away. Why don't you do an athletics check? I guess. Seems like an athletic thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 4 on acrobatics. This is not going well for me.
What's that?
I have a grand total of a 6.
Yeah.
So
You wind up, you're like, and it goes like 10 feet wide of the statue.
judging
Kind of-
by the distance, the wind, I would say to throw it this way.
Yeah, it does not quite come near where you wanted it to come. It's a bit of a
Can I
trick.
fit through the little opening?
Don't.
Yeah,
go
the opening
in.
is again. The opening is a solid.
I'm gonna go in.
Oh, Maddie, do you not see the firebird body?
Oh,
of
there's
the rocks are
We're
reacting.
In the
In
crowd.
my mind, she's laying unconscious on the ground. The goal is to get her and get out. It seems very simple in my
Maybe
mind.
we should just stick our hand in or something to see what happens. And then
Bitsy
like
goes
Wait, what?
in. Bitsy
Why
goes
don't you
in.
do that? It's like you could use another scar.
Bitsy goes in.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys let her do this.
No!
No.
Bitsy,
I do like
Bitsy begins to
that.
make her way towards the opening.
Out of there, you'll clutch
Nastriel raises
back.
word.
Are you gonna try and resist them stopping you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna make
Are we doing strength checks?
I suppose maybe an acrobatics check against to try and slip past them or slip through their clutches, kind of dodge their grasps. So maybe
acrobatics.
for Bitsy it would be acrobatics, or you know what? Let's just do a dexterity check on your part. How would I do that? They're trying to grab you. You're trying not to be grabbed. First, they have to get
And
their
there's a
hands
lot of
on
people
you.
grabbing.
Yeah, we also have a lot of people trying to grab her.
Well, it's a fairly narrow. I should have told you this. You're going to be lined up in sort of a line. But Akerly, you were up front doing Arcana checks, so you're fairly close, and maybe Pim and Wicket. So you're gonna have to pass. You're gonna have to pass 3 or 4 people to get through there.
Well, I was up there because I walked towards at the beginning to check the temperature.
Gotcha.
I know, and then you pulled back.
Well, I mean, there was only so much room, and so many people were doing things at this point in time. You're gonna have to get through at least a couple of people. I'm gonna say that at least Pim and Akerly are probably in front of you. At this point. Mm-hmm. So Pim and Akerly, if you're going to try and stop, you're trying to grab her, get your hands on her, so go for dex, just a straight dex check against your dexterity to try and stay out of their grasp, Bitsy. And it's just going to be a d20 plus your dexterity.
18.
Bitsy? 10?
I can't lie to you guys. I can't weasel out of your grasp. I feel like this is I'm at the bottom of the pile here.
It really just like picks you up. She's
so
taller than you.
You kind of go rushing between them as you guys reach out to kind of grab, and you manage to grab her as she pulls you a little bit. Let's do a contest of strength here at this point, just to see how much kind of headway she makes after you get your hands on her. So, both of you grab her with your rolls. So all of you roll a strength d20 plus your strength modifier, including
all of us.
No, just the 3 that are involved in this.
Oh.
17.
9.
11.
You're like our baby. We can't just let you run into danger.
Wait, I have an idea.
We're gonna say this. We're gonna say that this happens as you rush in and they get their hands on you. You kind of try to push beyond them, kind of reaching towards desperately the small figure in the cage. You with your 11, you get kind of pulled up short, but not before kind of yanking Akerly in that direction ever so slightly. And I'm gonna say that that Akerly, as you get pushed, you were right up there doing your religion checks right up there in the door. We'll say that just a little bit of you kind of nudges, and like your elbow and a bit of your hair kind of crosses over the threshold of the room.
You burn off my hair, Dad.
And you immediately, all of you, smell that awful smell of hair kind of singeing and burning as your hair crosses the threshold.
Aren't you glad we stopped you?
And as a part of your elbow enters into this space, you feel just a searing pain, a horrible searing pain on your elbow as your clothing lights on fire, incinerates, and almost sticks to your skin in uncomfortable ways, and you take 3 points of fire damage. 3 points of radiant damage.
Okay.
Do we put the fire out?
Yeah, it burned up quick and then went away. And the flames weren't traditionally like orange and yellow. The flames were kind of like a bluish white in color.
Okay, Wicket is going to squeal, yell "Bitsy!" and then say,
I'm supposed to know.
"Why you ask?"
There's nothing wrong.
I have an idea.
Well, let's hear it.
I would have said it before Akerly got hurt, but you went. Okay, it's
okay. Everybody, calm down.
Nothing was being said.
I have an idea. I just need to try something. I'm going to walk up to the gap slowly and carefully. And I'm going to take like one of my arrows and like kind of stick it in to see if it lights on fire or not.
Okay.
And like kind of toss it in because I don't want to get burnt.
So you pull out an arrow and you tentatively push it over the kind of barrier threshold at the end of this. Almost immediately, the smell of hot iron fills the air, and as the wood of the shaft reaches past, you see the iron tip oxidize as it passes through something very hot. It gets that kind of rainbowy chromatic kind of color along it, and then the wooden shaft hits and poof, just begins that white blue trickling in a fine line right where the tunnel stops and the room starts. And however far you push it in, it just singes all the way across it. And if you were to leave it there for more than a second or two, it will, and the tip of that arrow falls off and clatters to the floor in the room. And you can see when it hits the ground, the iron tip, when it hits the ground on the floor, it was reacting to very intense heat when it was attached to the arrow. When it hits the floor, any evidence of it reacting to heat stops. And when it hits the ground and kind of goes out, it returns to kind of a cooler kind of iron color after having been heated.
I'm going to take another arrow
Okay.
out and lay down on my stomach and push it along the ground.
And as you do, very similar experience happens. It is touching the ground as you push it across, but as soon as it hits that barrier, it starts to heat up. The smell of hot iron, and the shaft begins to burn.
So, can I test the theory?
Okay.
So the wood burns, but the metal just gets really, really hot, and then when the wood burns completely, then
Do you leave it there long enough for it to burn completely?
No, so when I pull it back out, that's when it gets cool again, right?
When you pull it out, it gets cool, but there is one that's still inside. It fell inside the room.
So it looks like it's just this like barrier.
Right. Can I test a theory, David?
Go ahead.
Okay, so things I've noticed. The bird person got burnt really bad, but the pixie that is in the cage seems to not have had that happen to her. So I'm assuming that there's something.
I'll say based on the 21 that you rolled for perception earlier, you're able to tell there doesn't seem to be any sign of fire or anything on the cage or the pixie.
So because we got sprinkled with pixie dust by him before we came in, I'm going to test a theory, and I'm going to walk up to this thing, and I'm going to try and touch it with one of my fingers.
Okay. So we'll say for kicks, that you, as you hold it up, you can see there's a bit of kind of golden dust, kind of stuck to your skin in certain places. And you reach through and you put your finger through the thing, and it passes across the barrier, and you can see that as it passes across the barrier, you feel a bit of discomfort. I'll say that much. A bit of discomfort as your finger passes across the barrier. You feel warmth, pretty intense warmth, but not enough to damage you as it crosses. But after a moment or so, you see the pixie dust kind of begin to kind of vaporize and kind of come off.
I'm gonna walk through.
Okay.
Whoa!
Okay.
So you're not gonna stop him?
Okay.
I'm assuming Wicket is up there watching and sees what's happening since she was testing stuff.
I don't want it to get rid of it before I have to get through, so I'm just gonna walk in.
Okay.
And Wicket just goes, oh, the pixie dust.
Okay. So you walk through the barrier. You walk through the barrier, and it is palpable. Walking through a heat wave. As you enter in, you can almost feel it flowing upward around you as you enter in, and you cross the threshold. You feel yourself passing into it, and you step through, and it is again the same as on your finger, that intense little bit of heat on you, and you step into the room. As you pass the barrier and stand inside of the room, you can feel the heat still all around you. And you begin to see more of the pixie dust kind of from off of your body as you feel this kind of intense heat around you. And then within maybe 4 or 5 seconds of being in the room, a lot of this pixie dust just starts to vaporize and kind of disappear off of your body. So what do you do?
Good question.
Hey, Dad, real quick. At the moment can I hurriedly open my pack? When I see Pim walk in, can I open my pack and get out my gem inlaid sticks that I got from my star map? Can I roll those to see what would happen if I walk in?
Okay. So this is a feature. Is this a feature of your star map?
Star map, yeah.
Let me just.
If you guys want to be prepared about just doing whatever we want. It's augury.
Okay. So okay. So so you pull out gem laden sticks and you cast them onto the ground. Action you plan to take within the next 30 minutes. Cool. DM chooses from the following possible omens: wheel and woe, or nothing for bad results. Spell doesn't take into account any possible. So bones are similar tokens. It is instantaneous. There's nothing you have to roll for this, right?
No.
Okay. So you pull these out. I'm going to say, for the sake of your storyline and everything that I know about what's going on, you'll recall that in your 0 session you found something at the bottom of the river.
Yeah.
A sort of disc that you dove down, that you were drawn to and dove down. A disc that had...
Did A really tell us about the whole religion thing, or is that just something you kept to yourself?
I don't know that she did or not. I think you would still know, based on intuitions that you've had with your thing, that you have the ability to cast this spell from it. So if you're just thinking what'll happen if in the next 30 minutes if I make this action, you can see you would still think of doing it without making that starry kind of connection. So.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say that you actually don't pull out gem inlaid sticks. I'm going to say that you pull out the actual star map that you found that has the holes in it and the fine lines of constellations running around it. It's very like an oversized Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of golden disc with a hole in the center of it. And you pull that out and you hold it in your hand and you put it on the ground and you spin it like a coin, and it spins. And it begins to flicker with light and then falls to the ground. What course of action specifically are you wanting to get an answer about?
If I walked into the room.
So for you personally, if you walked into the room,
yeah,
what would be the result? So it falls to the ground, and you see several of the kind of holes that represent stars on the constellations on this thing, kind of with light, an amber kind of colored light, and you feel a wave of kind of like icy hot pass over you, and suddenly are struck with a sensation that should you enter the room, I think the best thing that I can say is that you end up having a sense that I mean, for lack of a better thing, the results of the spell are wheel and woe, or nothing, and you end up with a very positive and powerful feeling that washes over you, representing wheel, meaning good things.
Okay, then I'm gonna pick up the disc and say, I gotta go in, I'll be fine, I'll be okay, and then start kind of pushing past everyone.
Okay.
And Astral is gonna look at you, because I was part of your 0 session.
I'm gonna wave it in front of you. Look, the map, because you were there with me.
I'm gonna choose to trust you and let you go.
Okay, so I'm gonna walk
It's
in.
just gonna be like
And I'm gonna look at Wicket and shrug and go, "It's destiny."
So I'm gonna say that definitely took at least maybe 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds to kind of pull this out and do this thing. Pim, are you just hanging tight where you are?
How far away am I from the cage with the pixie in it?
So the cage is roughly 10 to 12 feet into the space. The body of the winged thing was 6-7 feet in front of you, and then 6 or 7 feet beyond that was the cage, within a few feet of the statue that is in the center of the room. And you're standing there, and more of this pixie dust is kind of burning off of you, and you feel the intensity of the heat around you.
Do I feel any like burning, like my body burning sensations?
Yeah,
or is it just
you feel the heat. You feel the heat intensifying, the feeling of the oppressiveness of the heat, and specifically your finger, the first thing you pressed across the line, starts to get very uncomfortable and very hot, and as it begins to feel the burn, so to speak, standing in the room, and you kind of see this happening. So.
Ask the pixie for more pixie dust.
No, not with us.
Not with.
Do you hang tight for that 10 to 15 seconds?
Tight for a second until I see Bitsy come in.
Can I start yelling, Pam, no!
Okay. And so you see her kind of stand as you're kind of trying to decide what to do. The heat is growing more and more intense, for sure, as you approach, or as you stand there, as Bitsy runs into the room. And I'm going to say, for the sake of what I kind of know and the story, you feel a flare of pain in particular on your neck, and suddenly realize it's the exact spot where the handprint that you received from the sprite was left on your neck, and that kind of flares up, and your vision goes green for a moment, and you hear the same voice that you heard when the staff hit you with all that energy suddenly enter your mind and say, "Well, that's unfortunate." And suddenly your mind goes white with pain. And for the sake of this, we're going to say that you are stunned momentarily. And Bitsy, as you kind of pick up your thing and begin to approach and push your way towards the door, right about the moment where you would cross the threshold, you see Pim go up in flame, kind of whitish, bluish flame, and right about the time that you're kind of passing the door, and you rush across the threshold. And as you rush across the threshold, your vision goes completely sterile white, just like you got hit in the face, and that white, just blinding white light flashes across your vision. The entire space around you, you feel it just disappear in terms of your senses, and you are struggling for just a moment. You see a bit of the after image kind of burned into your retina of the form of Pim with flames kind of creeping up around him as you pass into the room. And the whiteness is all that you see besides that, and it hovers that way for a solid, long, several kind of breaths. You can feel yourself hyperventilating a little bit. Then that whiteness cracks and shatters into many little pinpricks of bright white light that float across your vision, and they separate and they scatter, and they then rush away from you outward. And you see before you just a vast blackness with bright white points of light hanging in it. The clearest night that you can ever remember, nights that you spent on a certain hill in Orensdell, looking up at a patch where the trees were open, and you were able to look up and watch the stars pass over you. That pales in comparison to this. You see the vastness of the night sky and all of the stars around you. and you see several of them kind of rotate and converge and create a bit of a shape, and the shape appears to take the form of a cup, and lines extend then between the pinpricks, the stars themselves, connecting until the shape becomes very, very clear, and the shape of a cup in constellation form. And then around that, more stars converge, and you see them begin to form the sort of joints of the form of a woman. Elbows, wrists, fingers, knees, hips, as these stars connect and lines run between them, until a form stands before you that is a constellation, a living constellation made of stars and these lines of bright light running between them, holding a cup in front of it, and the figure drifts in your direction. You're floating at this point in time. Again, there is nothing else around you as you float in this space, and this form kind of drifts towards you in your direction. As it does, the cup takes on true form. You still see the bright pinpoints that define the shape and the lines that connect it, but you also see the kind of image superimposed over it of an actual cup. And then you see the image of a woman appear laid over the kind of skeletal kind of astral frame that had been created. Long flowing hair, bright eyes. Hard to tell from her expression what kind of mood she's in as she approaches, and she kind of glances at you and hangs in the air. And she, after a long moment of uncertainty, you see a smile cross her face, and she looks down at you and says, "You are closer than you've ever been." And she moves her hands forward, and she tips the chalice in your direction. And as she does so, white light cascades out of it and rushes across you, and it feels to you like fresh, cool water washing over your form. And you hear her voice again say, "Continue on your path. Your destiny awaits." And the stars then suddenly come rushing back in your direction, one at a time, until they begin to form again into just a wall of bright white. And you suddenly stumble, and the white light vanishes, and you find yourself standing in this room, taking kind of stumbling steps forward. Sorry, I don't know if that is me here. And you come back to yourself. You see the form on the floor, you see the cage before you, you see the space around you, and you see Pim still standing there, flames writhing and whatnot around it. You can see that the whitish blue of the fire has begun to turn green around the edges. And you can hear all of the rest of you who see Bitsy kind of pass into this room. You can hear Pim begin to scream just out of just a natural reaction and a bit of movement. And this is all involuntary, Pim, because it is all just pain in your mind now at this point. So this happens, the green around the edges of the flame. And at this point in time, you stumble backwards a few more steps. You kick the cage. You see as Pim kicks the cage ever so slightly, which rattles across the floor a little ways. And then suddenly, Pim, the blind, awful kind of heat that you are feeling all around you is suddenly doused. And you blink, And you can see that water is now pouring from out of this chalice above you and down onto your form. And you can feel it kind of... you guys watch Pim. When the water hits him, you see the flames douse, you see smoke, and you see charred flesh. He is crispy. His hair has been burned to nothing. His skin is cracked and blackened. You see his teeth as like a bright kind of white kind of rictus coming from just this charred kind of blackened flesh around him. And it is horrifying to look at. As the water continues to pour over, you can see the cracked black char begin to kind of flake and pull away, and you see clean new flesh underneath as it begins to kind of fade and disappear. You can see his curly locks begin to kind of sprout and reappear on his hair, on his head, and soon, after a little bit of time, there's a pile around you of odd, crispy, fleshy bits around your form, but you stand there kind of whole as you were before in this space. Bitsy, you hear a voice in your head at this point. You must remove him from the room. He bears a curse and is not welcome here. None but yourself may enter here, but him in particular. I can only hold it back for so long.
Okay, I'm gonna sprint really, really fast. At this point, tears are kind of like coming down my face, and I'm like, like running. I'm gonna like get to Pim and like kind of step around the fleshy bits, grab his hand, and sprint back.
Okay, Pim, do you go with?
Yeah.
Okay, you're drawn forward. You already once again feel a pain in the side of your neck beginning to kind of twinge again as you're drawn in that direction. Those of you that watch Pim close are shocked to see that where the handprint is, it is just flaring with emerald green energy, and you see lines of green running up Pim's neck and down into his kind of tunic and disappearing in the space as he kind of stumbles a bit glassy-eyed and is pulled by Bitsy back through the threshold and into the space beyond.
Once I kind of like push him, I'm like throw him in front of me. Like I'm gonna pull my hand, pull him in front of me. Make sure he gets through.
Is Wicket all right during all of this?
Wicket never went in.
And then
So yeah. So what do you do, Bitsy? You push him through.
I'm gonna like throw him in front of me, make sure he gets through. And be
I'm
like,
gonna catch him.
Stay, don't come in, don't come in. And then I'm gonna
be like, Bitsy, are you sure?
Because I'm gonna continue crying and get thumbs up. And then I'm gonna turn around, still crying. I run towards the cage with the pixie, the light in it.
Okay. Yeah, you approach and you right the cage, you pick it up. You can see the form of a pixie in there. This one is larger than the other pixies that you saw, and you see a lovely little pixie. I mean, a beautiful flowing dress, golden feathered hair, very like 70s, 80s style, like Farrah Fawcett, Goldie Hawn kind of do, all in gold, and a very kind of mature looking face for a pixie. You can see kind of crow's feet lines around the eyes, but the lines are filled with kind of golden light that kind of runs in the lines, flaring out from the sides of her eyes. You can see her kind of hovering in the middle of the cage. She has large butterfly-shaped wings that appear to be made of the bark of trees. Very thin, kind of smooth bark, but modeled the way that bark is. And she hovers in like a yoga position in the center of this cage. Her eyes open and kind of golden light kind of appearing in the eyes. And as you can see, a bit of an aura of gold around her, between her and the tips of these kind of green crystal shards that are embedded inside of this cage. As she kind of hovers there in the center of it, you pick it up, and then what?
Are you okay?
We'll say that her eyes do blink, and she suddenly kind of looks at you. The gold kind of coalesces. The entirety of them are golden light. They kind of coalesce into the center until you see two golden pupils looking at you. And she kind of looks around the room, and her eyes widen as she looks at you. You? How did you enter here?
I walked in.
She kind of glances down at the ground towards the corpse of the winged Talaru. So did he.
No, he flew, I think.
She cracks a smile. You. Thank you. She looks a bit confused, a bit dazed, and she looks at you. And she scans you, kind of up and down. You remind me of someone, of something. I can't quite put my finger on it. Interesting.
Okay, but are you okay?
For now. And she kind of
Okay,
looks
well-
up around her at the green shards. It is a struggle, but I resist.
Hey, we're gonna get you out of here. We're gonna get you out of here. Your people, your friends, and they're outside of the room. And I'm gonna start walking with the cage in my hands very slowly to make sure I don't like jostle her too much. Well, I guess, do you want out of the cage or should I just carry you? And I'm gonna keep walking as I'm like talking.
She looks at you. I must be removed from the cage. These crystals, they are not good.
Okay. And I'm gonna like slowly put her down and kind of pull out my knife and like try to like.
You guys are all kind of watching from a distance. You still feel the same kind of heat coming from that barrier at the door. But yeah, so you cut it open?
Yeah.
Okay, and it kind of pops open again. And you see her kind of like flutter up into the air and kind of flap her wings tentatively, and she kind of moves across and then flutters to the ground, taking a couple of stumbling little steps on her tiny pixie legs, and kind of, wow. Generally speaking, I am the only one who can enter this shrine. That makes you unique.
Thank you.
Come with me, she says.
Are we leaving?
We must go deeper.
Deeper. I just watched my friend get set on fire. Is there more rooms like that, or is this the only one?
The entirety of this place has the same effect on
I'm gonna like choke on a sob.
It is okay. You appear to be immune to it. That gives me hope for the first time in a long time. Perhaps you are the key, the answer.
Oh. Answer to what exactly?
Come with me. She kind of flutters up. And as she does so, she kind of moves deeper into the room, kind of around the statue towards the back of the room.
I'm gonna turn around to my friends and like give them like a thumbs up and like a weak smile.
And Astral is going to give you a hesitant smile and go,
Burn do and also copy.
and then give Pim a really worried look.
I'm okay. I'm gonna follow the religious leader into deeper into the place. She seems like she's very authoritative here, so I have an innate trust for a leadership. So I'm just gonna follow her, but I'm okay.
It is not far. You will be right back.
It's not far. We'll be right back. And then I'm gonna turn around and start following her.
You do, and she kind of flutters back deeper into the room, and as you enter farther into the room, you begin to see the walls around the place in more clear, kind of stark relief. You can see that painted onto the walls is a variety of panels that surround you, each one bearing a different scene. And the scene is of nature at the bottom. A landscape, a horizon, a hill with trees and stones arising, and maybe some rivers running down through. And each one of them also has very small little figures, very, very gnomish in stature, standing atop the hills or upon the hills. And above, in the majority of each of the panels, holds the form of a constellation in the sky above, with lines painted between and gems set in at the points of each star that makes up the constellation. And as you look, you can see a variety of them with different tableaus beneath them. And in several of them, these gnomish figure kind of stands with hands raised up high to the sky above. And she kind of points at these and then back at you, her eyes wide. You did remind me of something. And she kind of points at you and towards these things. These images of these kind of short in stature kind of figures with kind of wild hair, and you can see kind of branches and even flowers kind of coming out of their hair as they stand in these positions. Yes, I believe you may be our hope. And she draws you back, and you can see as she takes you to the very back of the room, that where one panel would be about the same size as the other panels, which seem to be separated just by carved stonework. You can see one empty panel, and at the center of this panel, you can see two things. About your height, 2 or 3 feet off the ground, you can see the relief, kind of etched form of a very small sort of handprint in the wall, and beside that, you can see the kind of etched relief of a circular item with lines and circles kind of in relief on the inside of it, and a circle at the center of it, which you immediately recognize as a kind of impression almost of the star map that you have in your possession. And that's all that you see at this place. As you approach it, though, there's a flare, and the entirety of this section of the wall lights up with amber-colored energy as you move toward it.
That's the color of my destiny. Oh my gosh! Oh.
You believe in destiny? She says.
Wow, I'm like Destiny's #1 fan, but like
that is good.
Yeah, I think so.
For as the stars chart their course through the heavens in consistency, and as we live our lives out beneath them, it is all connected, all interwoven, all foreseen, she says. I'm glad to hear this.
Yeah, me too.
Do you know what to make of this? And she points towards the 2 reliefs.
I mean, I have a guess, but I mean, is it okay if I kind of mess with it a bit? Is it only if it's okay with you? Because I have this thing that looks like it would fit, but I don't want to like mess with something that's yours, because I don't think it's mine, because like personal things, and I'm talking too much, and this is kind of the first time I've kind of felt like I'm talking too much.
It is okay. Your words and your voice are music to me. I could listen to you all day, she says. Feel free. You are obviously meant to be here. I only have vague ideas of this place, only that I am allowed here and that it feels right here. But us pixies, our memory does not go back very far. We are old, but we remember only a matter of weeks or maybe months for those of us with long memories. I know in my soul this place is important and significant to my people, and that it bears some connection to people like you. But beyond that, I do not know much.
Well, people like me, I think, there's only one person like me that I know of, at least. So, people like me, it feels right here for me too. So I'm just gonna hope that this works. And I'm gonna kind of walk up nervously and kind of lift up the star map and kind of try to fit it into the hole there.
Okay. Yeah, it is a perfect fit. You have to rotate it a little bit to get it lined up just right with kind of the little protrusions of stars on the other side, but eventually as you slide it around, it kind of clicks into place. No.
I'm gonna like smile back at her and see, like point at it and like, I think it's working.
She gives you 2 kind of thumbs up at you as well in response.
That was really great. I'm gonna walk over to the other side with the handprint. Are like right next to each other, or like distant?
So kind of a handprint. The handprint is here, and the thing is kind of above it, just above it for the circular thing.
Okay, and I'm just gonna like slowly kind of be like, well, and then I'm gonna like stop. Will something bad happen if I do this, or do you know, or do I?
She kind of squints. She squints at you. She kind of shrugs her shoulders. I could not say for certain, but it feels right.
Yeah, it feels right. And then I'm just gonna kind of like smash my hand into the.
And you hang there for just a moment without much of anything happening. Kind of, and then the amber colored energy ripples and then contracts down to the area around the star map in your hand. And then all of a sudden you hear a as this section of wall begins to move away from you ever so slightly. Kind of small pebbles and dust kind of trailing and falling down as it moves farther back and stops about maybe 10 feet away. As it does, unless you follow it, your hand and the thing kind of pull out of the thing and it continues to move without you. And you can see that it stops. There's a sheer wall on the right, but there seems to be a passageway that is opened up kind of off, heading in the direction, the kind of left direction. And there on the ground, beginning at your toes and trailing in and then taking a hard left down this tunnel, you see this amber-colored line of energy running off in that direction. Those of you that are standing back near the entrance to this place, Akerly, maybe Wicked, I think you were kind of right there, and Pim, who just got pulled in, you suddenly feel the heat flickering on you go away, and kind of blessed cool kind of brushes up against your faces, and you sense dramatically so a bit of a change, and that's where we're going to end it for tonight.
Am I still burned?
You are. I mean, your elbow's a bit crispy.
We're just not making it out of this alive.
Me and you are having a rough day today.
Cool. I'm excited. This stuff is going places. Yeah, very interesting events, choices that everybody was making to make things happen there. So, yeah, way to go. Sweet. Well, we will pick this up in a couple of weeks, I suppose, after the Christmas holiday. Hope everybody has an incredible Christmas holiday between now and then, and a bit of a new year, because we're going to push just past the new year before we see everybody again. And yeah, we'll jump back into this to see where destiny and a whole bunch of character choices take us moving into the future. Thanks for being with us as always. We look forward to seeing you on the flip side, and hope you have an incredible night and an even better holiday. We will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Bye.